One of the tricky things I'm seeing that I'm going to be dealing with when shooting out here is the fact that it is an active construction space. And so what we're dealing with is also a pile of dirt. Maybe this tractor over here, as well as when I get the drone shots. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another edition of Learn Real Estate Photography. This is gonna be a really fun vlog. I've got a really cool shoot today that I'm excited to share with y'all. So the scoop is that I've got an awesome client and they do residential as well as commercial. And recently they finished a local development sort of planned community. And we're gonna go in there, we're gonna capture photos, video of a house. We're also gonna capture a little bit of community shots. They have a playground or whatever, walking trails, etc. So come along with me, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I wanna teach you some things. We're gonna get some dope shots and we're gonna have a really good time. So let's check it out. Okay guys, we made it. We're here at the home. This is lot 31 of Rush Residential's new development. It's called the Preserve. Yeah, buddy. A lot of the houses are actually still under construction, but this is one that they have finished, right? So it's the model home. And so the company, Rush, they called me and they say, hey, we got a new development coming up. We need footage and video to help market and advertise this place, right? So that's why I'm here today. And so to kind of break down what I'm going to be giving them, I'm going to be doing photos, I'm going to be doing video, and then a few kind of community overview shots. Photos, I charge $300 right now. Videos about $500, and then I put 10% tax on that. So you can kind of tell that's about the price range. That's for my market, but of course, if you're a real estate photographer, you'll have to check out your market and kind of find that sweet spot. Because for me, it's really about you want to definitely make enough to provide enough income for yourself, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're not trying to take too much money every time from the client. And so you find that kind of balancing point, right? And they keep hitting you up again and again. So with Rush, I've been working with them for 3 or 4 years now. So pretty awesome client, always happy to do business with them. And they've just been great. So again, this is another great one. So the plan today for this one is gonna be first, we'll prep the gear and get everything ready, the camera, the gimbal, all that good stuff. And then the next step is gonna be to prep the house. So I'm making sure all the lights are on, all of the toilet lids are down, all the blinds look good, everything like that. So that way I can just fly through and just do it. I hope you guys also are enjoying this massive echo. Hopefully it's not too bad on the camera, but yeah, so let's jump into it. Okay guys, so in terms of gear, today I'm rocking the Sony a7S III. It's an awesome camera, it does incredible low light, this high quality footage. I should be shooting at 24 frames a second, so 1/50th of a shutter speed, and then adjusting my ISO as necessary. And so for photos, I've also got it set to HDR, so it's gonna be capturing 3 shots. I think it's +2 and -2 exposure values on that one. In terms of aerials and things like that, I've got the Mavic 3 Pro. Looks like this. It's a great camera. The amazing thing about it is that it's got the 3 lenses, which is so nice because I found that third lens right here is really, really high quality. The 7X, I think sometimes is a little bit too much. The wide angle looks great as well, and I use that a lot, but the 3X really helps it shine. And one of the cool things about this community that I'm in today is that they've got an incredible view of Mount Rainier out the back. So I'm sure when I'm probably putting the drone up out that way, and then I've got the drone on the house in the foreground and the mountain in the background, it'll look really sick. So it's gonna be really perfect for those community shots. And then of course, the gimbal, I'm rocking today. The Ronin 3, I've got this awesome small rig handle on the side. And so if you guys are also gimbal operators, I definitely recommend it. It adds another element of this to it, which is really sweet. Yeah. And so this little setup that I've got all fits in one backpack and has allowed me to create so many photos and videos. The quality is really great. I highly recommend just getting a nice setup, whether it's an a7S III, or if you want to go the a7 IV, a7 III, a6700, those ones are all good. Anything you want to do, the mirrorless cameras in their lineup right now is just incredible. Now the gimbal is all set up and the camera is all ready to go. The next step is to go through and make sure all the lights are on, all of the blinds are looking good. Basically just the house is prepped and ready, so I don't have to worry too much about getting everything set up as I'm walking through. Boom, there we go. Those lights are now on. We've got a fireplace here that I can flip on. Looks like it's, ooh, fancy. Cool. I'll make sure that's not in the shot later. We go to the front. Nice green bathroom. How's the garage looking? Nice. Garage is nice and open. I'll probably get an extra shot in there. Show that off. You can see across the street, they are doing more construction on other homes. So I'll definitely be cognizant of that when I'm shooting. And I'll let the editors know down the road, like, hey, please get rid of that out the window. And then we have to find the, here we go. Bam. And now I'll go upstairs. Let there be light. I usually shoot with the doors closed. Nice, I love the look of the carpet lines, look really nice right now. So sometimes with the blinds, I'll leave them open if it's a nice view out the window, but right now it's kind of just like a situation where it's just blue sky, not a big deal. So I'll probably just leave them down so the homeowners who potentially buy the house can see that it already has blinds in it. So definitely a selling feature to show off. Okay, so one thing I'm doing as I'm walking through the house is kind of understanding what the flow and the layout is gonna be. So I walked into here and I'm like, okay, this is definitely the primary or the main bedroom. So I'll probably show this one when I come upstairs first, just because you kind of want to hit the highlights as soon as possible so people don't lose interest in the video and you're showing off the best things at the beginning, right? One other thing to think about is that if it's not staged, you can always offer staging to your clients. So you can say, hey, here's the final photo and video. If you'd like, I can always talk to a virtual stager who can like place in beds and nightstands and all that good stuff. So that's something to think about in terms of like getting a little bit more income from the property that you're shooting and like making it a little bit more worthwhile for yourself. So consider that. Okay, the house is prepped and ready. I'm stashing my gear in the closet. The next thing to do is shoot everything. One awesome thing that the client did for me, and I highly recommend you guys ask your clients to do for you, is that they gave me kind of a list of things that they want to focus on. So they talked about the kitchen backsplash, the kitchen quartz with the electric range stove. There's a nice laundry room. They want to show off the backyard with the patio and everything. So having these sort of like tips and specifics, having these specifics from your client is like going to be absolutely key, because how are you supposed to know what they want if they don't tell you, right? So it is 2:12 right now. So we're going to start shooting and hopefully it'll be done by 4. That would be awesome. So let's get to it. All right, so my basic thought process when going through the home is that I'll start at the front entryway and I kind of shoot in the same way that I want to edit it. So it makes it really easy for the editor. So what I'll do is I'll get the front entryway shots. There's a nice little office space here that I'll swing around and get the kitchen, because that's a great highlight that people want to see. And the main living area, a little bit of the backyard, jump into the bathroom, go upstairs, capture the main bedroom like we already talked about, the extra bedrooms, and then the outside. So that's kind of the overall cooking recipe in terms of like what to get when. And I follow that for basically every house and it always works great. Okay, with the front entry shots captured, it's now time to do all the kitchen and living room shots. And the kitchen shots are gonna be awesome because they're gonna be, you can really capture some of the details of the quartz and things like that, like the client asked for, and it's a really good opportunity to get a little more cinematic with it rather than just like informational or like just wide angle stuff. Okay, one little tip I wanna give to you guys right now is that you just really have to be aware of reflective surfaces, shadows, and your own reflection in the footage, right? So what's happening is that the backsplash tiles on here is like fairly reflective. I don't know if you can see that. It's like shiny. And so with the window over here, if I'm standing over here, sometimes you can see my shadow. So you just have to be really cognizant of that, as well as this is a bit reflective as well because of the light, and this can be reflective and this can be reflective too. So just making sure that your reflections aren't ending up in every single thing is very important. Now that I've gotten all the sort of wide shots that I need, I'm gonna capture a few cinematic shots to show off the details and the high points and just help set the video apart. So what I'll do is drop the aperture down from 7 to 4, which creates more bokeh. And then I'm gonna zoom in from 16, which is pretty wide, down to 35. Now you have to make sure that your focus as well is moved in a little bit, because normally it'd probably be at like infinity or 5 or something like that. So I want to make sure that it's zoomed, it's focused in to make sure that just this sink is in focus. Then you can also repeat that same sort of cinematic look with things like the lighting up here, capture the pendant lights. You want to shoot down and capture quartz countertop of this right here, the nice stove and everything. I know she also texted me and said she wanted shots, I think, of these or some sort of special. So just making sure you get nice detailed shots to go along with the nice wide shots is super key and will definitely help set you guys apart. Another great reason to use zoom shots is to kind of connect the different areas of the house together. So for instance, right now I'm going to connect the kitchen over to the living room. And I'm going to do that by having a little bit of this foreground right here and then having the fireplace in the background. And at 35mm, it's a great way to do that because it kind of creates like this sort of effect here. Now, when you're getting those zoomed in shots, I like to use focus peaking in manual focus. I feel like that's a great combination for me, but experiment with also using automatic focus because then you can sometimes touch on the object that you want to have it focused on and it will stay perfectly in focus as you rotate around it and kind of capture your subject. I feel that works a lot better if I'm shooting outside and perhaps I'm shooting like a rose or a flower or something cool that's maybe moving, like a flag or something in the wind. Versus manual focus is great for static objects like the sink or the fireplace or whatever. Okie doke, so we captured kind of the main area in the beginning of the home, the kitchen and all that. So now I think it's a great time to capture a little bit of the patio before going back upstairs and capturing the rest of it. Now, a few things to prep is that we've got these like leaves and stuff hanging out here as well as the hose to roll up. So I'll make sure that looks good before getting started. One of the tricky things I'm seeing that I'm going to be dealing with when shooting out here is the fact that it is an active construction space. And so what we're dealing with is also a pile of dirt. Maybe this tractor over here, as well as when I get the drone shots. Something to be aware of so that way when I am shooting outside, I have to make sure to frame those out or have the editor get rid of them. Wanted to show you guys how much you have to change your settings. So these are the settings I was using inside, and you can see when you're shooting outside, it's so blown out, right? So what I do first is change the ISO. I'll drop that down to 80. And then I adjust my aperture so that everything is good. So about +3 is where I want to be. So F11 in this case. And then you can go auto, but I like to go daylight. I think daylight just looks really nice outside on a sunny day like this. All right, so we grabbed a few back patio shots, not the whole backyard, but just a few to kind of connect it to the kitchen and show people the idea of it. Now we'll head upstairs. From working with this client before, I know that they love these sort of like sliding rolling doors. So I'm gonna make sure that I get a nice shot that shows that as kind of highlighted, as well as the faucet for the bathtub and the backsplash and the tiling behind that. So I got some nice wide shots here of the main room. And then I'm again switching back to kind of like a cinematic mode at 35mm. I'll probably go to like F4 again. And then I'll be able to get the sliding door as well as all that good stuff in the background. Next, I'm going to show the bathroom from inside, kind of showing the relationship to the main bedroom and all this good stuff, the double vanity. But what I'll do is pull this out just a touch to kind of get that nice translucent look through there and just help people remember like, hey, there's a really cool door here. So little trick to work on. Okay, I'll finish with the bathroom shots. Looks great, brother. Next stop is going to be hitting up the last few rooms, the extra bedrooms and the extra bathrooms, and then we'll be all done inside. Okay, guys, it looks like it's 3:20, so it took us about 1 hour to finish the inside, the downstairs, the upstairs, and a little bit of the outside. So we're doing a great on time right now, really awesome. And the next stop is to pop outside, get those final shots, the community shots, and be all done. I think we are on track to hit the 2-hour mark. And honestly, if I wasn't vlogging right now, it probably would have been done much sooner, but no sweat, I'm happy to teach you guys a little bit. So let's head outside. We'll have to move. Looks like that thingy right there. Try and make sure we don't get any of the construction in it. and dodge whoever is over there. So one thing that I want to share with you guys is my order of operations. And I shoot inside first and then the outside because one, that's going to be the majority of the video is the inside of it. Unless the home is like really cool and has an amazing property outside, generally you want to focus on inside. Also, it's much nicer to kind of do the inside stuff first if you're at a place where the homeowner is there with their kids and their dogs or whatever, etc. It's a lot easier to get that done and kind of get out of their way and then do the outside afterwards. It's also nicer because on hot summer days like this, you're cool, you're inside first, you're making a good impression without being extra sweaty if you shoot the outside first. So just a few reasons why I do that. I wanted to kind of explain that to you guys. I don't know, it's totally dependent on the home, but if I have a choice, definitely I'll shoot inside first and then shoot outside after that. I also make sure that when it is time to shoot outside after shooting the inside, that I stage all of my stuff right by the door. So that way I'm not like maybe stepping in some grass or some mud outside, then coming back inside, tracking it in to grab my bag and then back out, right? If I need to grab something, it's gonna be right here because I know that I'm gonna have to be grabbing the drone here in about 5 minutes. All right, we're back outside. I moved a big sign that was in front and things are looking pretty good. The only issue I'll see is that I've got this sign over here that's really tiny, and also the porta potty and like some construction equipment over on the right side. So got my work cut out for me, but I think if I prop in enough and like zoom a little bit on the lens, I should be okay. And then for the photos, it's really easy to ask the editor just to get rid of those things. One thing that I'm aware that I'll be dealing with, of course, is that we've got the sunlight is behind the home, kind of over to the right up here. And so what might happen is that I'll get a little bit of lens flare, which can wash out and lower the contrast. You can use them creatively to get some cool shots, which is always fun to do. But also you don't want them just to like completely ruin the image. So you got to be careful regarding that sort of thing and just make sure. What I like to do is use my hand sometimes above the lens to kind of cast a shadow on the lens. So you see me doing that a little bit and just making sure that I'm getting just a really nice front of house shot, get a few from different angles, and then I'll put up the drone and kind of redo the same thing and get like a few different angles as well as right above it. So let's get to it. It was like a vine that had got itself lodged into the tree along the way. So making sure to get that out so everything looks as good as possible, super key. I noticed it when I was getting like a sort of through the trees, lens flare type shot. I think that'll be really awesome for helping to build like a sense of cinema and like.
Good evening.
So as I'm shooting outside, I'm definitely trying to get like the main like really high quality, vertical's perfect, like flat on house shot. But I think it's also important to kind of like mix things up and create more cinematic sort of awesome shots. So I'm getting like really low angles where I'm pushing in and having a lot of foreground. We're just kind of playing around with the angles in that way. Whereas when I'm shooting inside, it's a lot more sterile almost, but just trying to like really mix things up and don't be afraid to get creative is what I'm trying to say. Now, because when we started the video inside, we had the door open. What I'm gonna do is open up the door again and kind of create that initial connecting shot to go from the outside to the exterior to the interior. So I've opened it up and I'll get a nice little push in. One thing I'm noticing is that I want to have a little bit more of the door and show the texture of the door and the handle and everything. So I'll turn it in a tiny bit. So that way when I have the shot here and I'm going to push in like this, it'll look really swaggy. One thing to be aware of, and I want to show you guys, is that if you're using a polarizing lens like I am right now, the grass will look really nice. It brings out a lot of the colors, but at the same time, you can see here on the corner, on the house next door, the windows are very purple. So you just got to be very careful because sometimes the way the light reflects through a CPL can like turn the windows really purple. That's going to be something that I can fix in Photoshop just by like desaturating it a little bit, but something to like keep in mind if you're using a CPL. I remind you of that because there have definitely been times where, you know, it's a really important sunset shoot for a client. I go out there, it's 45 minutes to drive out there. I shoot for like 2 hours. Then I come back to the photos and I look at it and I'm like, all the windows are like super magenta purple. And I have to like spend a ton of time just selecting all of them, making sure that it's not like a purpley color, but a natural color and stuff like that. And it just like, it sucks. So I really recommend you don't make the same mistake and like make sure you double check the footage as you're going through the shoot, just to make sure that it's high quality and you're not causing any issues. This can also happen as well with focus. And like we've done all those cinematic shots, right? But what can happen sometimes is that I'll get some cinematic shots of the kitchen, whatever, then I move to the living room and I open it back up, but my focus is still like really close. And so I look like 3 or 4 rooms later and all of the rooms are out of focus, and it just sucks to have to delete those and then go back and reshoot them. So
You blew it.
always make sure you're checking your shots as you go along. Okay, now that we're all done with the main camera, it's time to pop the drone up. So what I like to do is shoot in 4K mode when I'm doing video, and then when I'm doing photos, I pop it back over to the HDR, which in DJI terms is AEB. So get those going on. Try and keep my ISO at 100 and then adjust my shutter speed as necessary. I don't really follow the 1/50th rule, unfortunately, double the shutter speed, but it is what it is. It's never been a big issue for me, but if you want to, you can always get ND filters and do that. So with that being said, let's pop this bad boy in the air, get some dope shots. Beautiful day to fly. My best tips when flying are to make sure that you have just a chill spot to fly from. So I'm actually next door at an unfinished house that I can relax in. It's in the shade. I can see the screen really well. What I can do first is make sure I get the drone up. It's locked on. I'm okay to fly here. Make sure you have your part 107. And then I dial in my settings. So I was able to get it looking good. It's hard to tell from there, but everything looks great. All I got to do is kind of get a few shots, fly around. So you can see when I've got the house framed up like this, it's actually a gorgeous shot, but the issue is that you have all these over on this side. You have like the porta potty and the garbage and all that stuff. So what I have to do is push in just a tiny bit, because in the photos you can get rid of it and Photoshop it out. But in the video, when you're in video mode, it's really difficult to get rid of that. So even if it crops in a little bit, I still see it. So what I've got to do is just push in carefully, get a little bit pushed in, and boom. What happens is you end up getting rid of all that junk on the side of the house. So it looks like perfectly finished and like good to go. So just be really mindful of your framing when it comes to video. In photo, it's more, you can get away with more because of Photoshop, of course, and getting rid of stuff. But with video, it's much more difficult. So just being really aware when you're getting the video. Along with your standard like front of house, back of house, and side shots, it's also great to get a top-down shot like this. So you can see that's regular, and then you go top down, boom, and you have that beautiful roof that you show the brand new roof of the house, you show the lot outline and all that good stuff. So always remember to get one of those shots as well. And so remember when I talked about the 3X camera that it's got? Here's the 1X camera, what it looks like. It looks pretty good, but when you switch over to the 3X, you can see you get a really, really nice view of the mountain there, and it looks spectacular. Around here, the mountain is a really, really big selling feature. People love it. It's just a gorgeous thing to capture, so having that 3X camera is awesome. And what I like to do is get a little bit of foreground of some trees, and then either just push up and reveal the mountain, slide over, reveal the mountain, just something like that. It adds like a whole other element to the video that people really love. So if you've got any cool natural features in your area, whether it's like rivers, lakes, oceans, mountains, whatever, just make sure you're always kind of throwing in that sort of magical sort of cinematic shots into it. And then along with that, one thing I'd recommend is that if you're able to, you definitely want to get footage of said special landmarks in a way that doesn't always show this specific home, but rather can be used in this home, the next home, and many different homes that you capture in the same sort of area. So I'm in like the Puyallup, sort of Frederickson area, whatever. The mountain is always gonna look kind of like this from this area, right? So just making sure that I capture sort of stock footage that I can reuse again and again and again is really nice. And that also goes with how you structure your folders and back up your files and stuff like that and keeping track of them, but something to think about for sure. Awesome, all the drone shots are all done. Next step is just to lock up the home, get a few shots of the gate, sort of entrance signage action, and then be all done. All right, the time now is 4:22 in the afternoon. So that means that officially we did everything in about 2 hours, which is perfect, 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 perfect.
Nice.
Honestly, if I wasn't vlogging and telling you guys how I'm doing it, it probably could have been like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But right now, I feel like that's the perfect amount of time. So thanks again for following along. The final step, of course, is to get a burrito and dump all the footage at home to my editor, but we can save that for another video. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys had a ton of fun. Hope you learned a thing or two and you can get your own dope shots in the real estate community around your area. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe, like, leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you guys. See you on the next one.
Thank you.